Alright, we're gonna get started and we're gonna go live right now. I'm super excited for what we're about to do. This is a very awesome day to be going live. And I'm gonna let you know what's going on. So there's some breaking news. This is gonna be a live edition of Chat and Chill here on Class&Cool. And the reason behind this live stream is because there is some breaking news regarding Monsters and Memories, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, and a few other things. So if you end up enjoying your time here, say hello in the comments, consider subscribing, leaving a like, all that fun YouTube stuff, so you get notified anytime I do post videos. Now this is going to be a little different because I am going live right now, and we are going to have an agenda, so kind of like breaking news. Want to stay on track, I want to get to the point, so without further ado, let's go over the agenda. Now I'm going to start off by saying the Monsters and Memories, I'm saving that for last. So if you're watching live and you don't want to hear anything else, just come back after the recording is posted and skip to the end. I'm going to have everything broken up into chapters. That's number one. But as far as the agenda today, there is some breaking news regarding Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. So we're going to be going over that. We're going to be covering a couple of updates regarding Enshrouded, future content and plans for this channel, and then last but not and the Monsters and Memories after that. And then we're going to be closing out because we can't end the stream or a video without some EverQuest, right? So we're going to be doing all that fun jazz. A quick forward. So before we even get started, because this is going to kind of outline the baseline. First of all, one of the reasons I'm not doing a recording and I'm doing a live stream is A, because I'm very eager to get this news out to you guys, and B, I'm actually waiting for my microphone to come back. If you've seen any of my previous videos, normally I have a Rode Pod mic. It randomly stopped working, so I submitted an RMA to get it replaced, and for the time being I'm using the Rode boom microphone connected to this headset. So quick forward, I want to ask you a question. What recently happened in the gaming world that was both controversial to some, but also caused extreme success, right? So let me just make sure I'm live and that's working. Okay, sorry about that. So what recently happened in the game world that was both controversial, but also something that ended up yielding extreme success? So there was Pal World, and then the Enshrouded. Here's the reason why I bring that up. So we are always in game development. We're talking about the next great MMO, right? MMORPG, the WoW killer. For years, for decades, literally for decades, that was the goal of a lot of MMORPGs. They wanted to be unique. They wanted to be different. What Pal World did is it took a concept that worked. So this is where the controversial stuff comes in. Some would say they copied Pokemon. But if you really take a deep dive, you notice that there's elements of Pokemon, there's elements of Monster Hunter, and there was Rust-like survival and building. So they took something that works and replicated it, right? They didn't try to reinvent the wheel, right? And what ended up happening? It ended up selling like 3 million copies within the first 3 days, right? Hate it or love it, that's immense success. What's interesting too is it attracted crowds that normally wouldn't be interested in Pokemon, while also catering to the crowd that might only like Pokemon or wishes they had Pokemon, a Pokemon experience similar to that. Then came out Enshrouded. So I'm moving on to that. What happened with Enshrouded? It was a Valheim-like game. So Valheim, the Viking survival game. It basically took something that worked and just made it better. Better graphics, added story, and made it a fleshed out built world. So I'm bringing all this up because we're going to be talking about Monsters and Memories. We're going to be talking about Pantheon. And there's something to be said about not reinventing the wheel. Some people want the original classic EverQuest experience, and my opinion is that that's exactly what Monsters and Memories is doing. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, they're listening to what people want and just making it better. And what that is going to do, in my opinion, is it's going to open up the door for all of us that have been literally waiting for decades for the next EverQuest. Not EverQuest 2, not EverQuest 3, but literally we just want EverQuest 1, 1.5, if you want to look at it that way. And then there's, on the other side of the coin, there's Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, which is Brad McQuaid's vision post EverQuest. So that would be similar to Vanguard, Saga of Heroes, right? Again, do not reinvent the wheel and you'll see success. And that's what we've seen with Pal World, Enshrouded, and my prediction is in the future Stormgate, which would be a replica of StarCraft 2 or StarCraft 1. Not reinventing the wheel. It might look like it's a copycat from a person looking in, but at the end of the day, is it fun to play? That's all that matters. We can sit behind, our keyboards and rant and rave. Is it fun? Is it engaging? And the answer to the first two on this list is yes. I don't play Prowl World. I hear it's really fun to some people. I play Enshrouded, and I gotta say, I'm having a blast. So let's hop into the agenda. Again, the agenda is as follows: Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, Enshrouded, some future content, Monsters and Memories, and then of course we're going to be closing out with some EverQuest. So to start, we're going to go over the news for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And again, if you're just tuning in, I want to apologize for the audio quality in advance. From my microphone, I am using my boom mic because my normal microphone, it stopped working. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There, that's sorry about that. I didn't mean to get your face like that, but here we go.
You're going to get to play Pantheon really freaking soon. Visionary Realms announced today a massive and very ambitious change in how they're going to be dealing with testing access for the game, as well as content creation. Not content creation like this, content creation as in new zones. It is something many players will get to see with the launch of the new AVP zone, at least part of it, for the indie MMO coming on February 17th as the start of their seasons.
So February 17th, I'm just going to jump over here. So all what you just heard is what we've been waiting for years, and what the naysayers have been saying would never happen, is pledgers are finally going to get access. Now, pre-alpha pledgers have had 24/7, 365 access for several months now. But I do want to show you something really interesting. Yeah, you're going to get a kick out of this, so just stay with me. Okay. So this is a video. There's the normal mic, by the way. Where is it? That's the mic that broke right there. Anyways, so this is very interesting, right? because I'm taking 100% full credit. So this whole video I talk about Monsters and Memories, and then I pull up this video by Basgrim, Future of Pantheon, I think. A good video anyways. It was the history of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen since like 2016 or something, right? So look at my comments. This is from 13 days ago, right? Enjoyed the chill stream. Let me see if I can fix this really quick. I apologize. I'm fumbling a little bit. So pause this. Theater mode. All right. Let's screenshot this and we'll read it together. All right, come on. So this is me responding to a comment 13 days ago. Okay. I like the part where you mentioned the immersion into the world helps your imagination fill in the missing info. That's kind of how EQ Classic is for me, and it's more about the community than the raw graphical fidelity, or lack thereof. I'm from the camp that you can fix shoddy graphics, but it's extremely difficult to fix boring gameplay. Example, EverQuest next. If they continue, we're talking about Pantheon, if they continue to knock that out the park, I'm confident they'll make the revisions necessary to make the graphical art style work for their world. I also think that it's time they make a weekend alpha test for the alpha pledgers, but that's just my wild imagination at work. So, you know, it's funny. That's not the only place where I commented that, but I literally called out Joppa in another comment. I was like, Joppa, if you're listening, this is what I'm suggesting. So I've been ranting about this, and now it's finally here. It's not the weekend testing, but they've created a seasons type of environment where they're going to give pledgers access. And I'm going to let the video speak for itself, because I'm not going to, again, I firmly believe that if somebody else, that's kind of like the core of this video and the point I'm making. Don't reinvent the wheel. So let's go ahead and watch this, and I'll be quiet.
But a new zone isn't the reason for this video. The reason is they're massively expanding testing through a 6-week season system. The seasons will include new playable areas each season, and during those 6 weeks at different times.
I'm trying to remember which zone in EverQuest this reminds me of. I think the Karanas. You guys remember how, like, in the Karanas, like, when it rains, it gets all foggy, and then they have that bridge. Obviously, this is the Throne Fast is on the other side of this, but anyways, I digress.
Every pledge level will get a chance to play. Yes, that means not just pre-alpha and alpha level backers, but everyone who backs the game at any of their pledge support levels will get to play. Pledge support levels that start at $50 for access. So
this is the major key right here. So it's not just people paying $750, right? It's literally, if you want to pay $50, the same price that you'd pay for the game, you're basically buying the game. You're getting a digital copy of the game, so you can basically pre-order and start playing now. So that's that. So let's look at these pledges. So Watchers pledge $50, get supporter testing access, digital copy of the game. I'm just going to point out the relevant stuff. Early name reservation. I know that's important to a lot of people. And then a title. Here they add on a couple things for this pledge, $100. Then Protector's pledge. So they've broken up into categories. So supporters pledges, they get access right here, March 23rd to 29th, Okay, so about a week. Let's go back here. The champion pledgers, so basically people paying $250 or above, which $250 for reference is the same amount of money as that other MMO is charging for their Alpha 2 testing. Forgot the name of that game, but it's pretty popular, and you guys probably know exactly what I'm saying. Feel free to timestamp this and put it in the comments. And then last but not least, VIP will get access from, so that was 2 weeks for the champion, right? And then VIP access will get it from February 17th to March 29th. Essentially the entire season, right? And there's going to be multiple seasons, season 1, season 2, season 3. So from the moment the season is launched, the people that are doing the ultimate VIP access, whatever, will get unlimited access basically during that time, right? That would be $750, which, to be honest, $250 a month for 3 months. If you're truly interested in this project, that is the only reason why you should be doing this, is if you're interested in being a part of the development. You should not give a video game a penny of your money like this if all you want to do is play the game. Absolute waste of money. If you actually want to be a part of the development, if you actually want the devs to listen and make your perfect game, again, this is just my opinion, but I believe this game is going more towards the direction of Vanguard, right? Oh, yeah, Ashes of Creation. Thank you, John. But anywho, I got a little thrown off there because somebody was at my doorbell, and I want to see who the heck is at my doorbell at 1 in the morning. But yeah, $250 a month for 3 months. No big deal. Let me press play and get back into this video. Sorry about that.
Which at this point, I guess, is like $20 less than Redfall. But there's some additional details here, so let me explain exactly how this season is going to work. Visionary Realms is moving away from the testing phases being tied to specific tiers, and instead breaking pledge tiers down into supporter, champion, and VIP. The pledges were already broken down into those sections, but there's an added importance in relation to seasons. The 6-week testing seasons will take your pledge level into account of when you'll get to test and for how long during the season. Supporter pledges would essentially be the former beta pledges. Champion pledges are the former alpha pledges. And VIPs, well, they're the VIPs, the pre-alpha pledges. And we actually already have the dates for the first season. The season will run from February 17th to March 29th of 2024. VIP pledges will get the first crack at the new season and the new zone starting February 17th, all the way through the 29th of March. Champions will get started just under a month later on March 16th, and again will go through the 29th. And finally, supporters, which includes the $50 pledge tier, get access from March 23rd through the end of the season on the 29th. It breaks down to continued 24/7 access for VIP pledges, which they've had for a while. 2 weeks per every 6 weeks access for champion pledges, and 1 week every 6 weeks for the lowest tier pledges. I can't help but see this all as a big step forward for Visionary Realms and for Pantheon. Not just because it's ambitious in how it is tackling like the addition of content.
They listened. They're listening. I mean, that's the net of it. That's my opinion. They're listening. And again, I've been following this project since the day that Brad McQuaid announced it and launched his Kickstarter. When he was in the garage with everyone. So, you know, I've been both excited for this project, but also very critical, because there are some things that they did which was like facepalm moments, but there was other things that were completely out of their control. They lost Brad McQuaid. COVID happened. There's a number of things that led up to 2020, and now we're in 2024. The way I look at it is we're only about 3 years in development.
And giving themselves basically timelines that they have to meet those timelines to get that content out, and posting those timelines publicly. 6 weeks before after this first season, we should be getting a new part of the zone. And to be clear on the zone, the first season is going to include the AVP Orange, which was shown in the last update we got, the producer's letter, and then subsequent updates I'm expecting to have other parts of that zone, although that hasn't been confirmed yet. There's also the whole ambition of having so many more testers in, because as you go down in tiers, obviously like the VIP tier is going to be the smallest number of players that could afford that kind of pledge, and then the alpha tier, which is going to be a much larger tier, but still not nearly as large as a tier that would essentially cost the same as you would pay just to buy the game outright, $50. What I think of it as a good step forward is that they're doing this after so much rancor happened at the end of last year, and they've been doing that since then. Since everything that went wrong with the announcement of 247, the leak of the NDA and everything like that, which made me make a video like this. MMO Bomb dropped an article earlier this month titled, "Yep, I'm officially worried about the future of Pantheon now." This has created a firestorm around Pantheon, and to be completely honest with you, rightly so. I'm gonna be straight up with you in this video at the outset. I'm probably gonna be a bit more frustrated and negative in this video than some other creators have been.
Yeah, and he was upset, and rightfully so, right? Me personally, I looked at it as their PR sucks. Like, their public relations needed work in that moment. But I never thought for a moment it's like, oh, it's a scam, because that's a foolish assessment, right? Without understanding the context of the whole project. No, it's not a scam. It's just, it was some bad decisions, but they were doing it for the purpose of testing. And if you want to know what the context of what I'm talking about is, you can find all the hate mail they received in the form of YouTube videos. But really, we're past that, and we need to move on to what is happening now.
And it's because I'm frustrated. Since then, they've done a lot of really good things, like completely going back on 247 and really doing what the community had asked them to do, for better or worse. They also dropped the verbal NDA, which really freed up a lot of people to talk about the game if they would so like, and really increased transparency. In the Discord, they created a whole channel which basically...
I like how the armor's starting to look.
Keeps track of everything that they announce or that gets said in all different channels, so you can kind of keep track of new developments as they're said. Everything from crafting details to new concept art to new character art to new environment art, all there in the Discord for everyone to see. They've been hosting several Q&As, and in every single one of them since the one Q&A where they were announcing 247, they've all been much more upbeat. They have brought in alpha testers to test the game. They've done 2 stress tests. I believe it's 2 at this point. They've done a streamer week, which had no visual NDA, so you could stream it. I was able to stream it, and you can actually see my stream here on this channel of that game. I think I streamed about 3 hours of it. And now they're expanding the testing. They're opening it up to more players to go in and play. And yes, with more eyes comes more scrutiny. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that just find out that no, this is not what they wanted. But at least
so that's that quick point I want to say about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, right? And this same statement goes for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen and Monsters and Memories, and really any indie MMORPG project. It's not going to be for everyone. It's not going to be for most. But it is going to be for a specific niche type of customer. However, this goes back to my point about Pal World. Pokemon, technically, you can say, is a niche game that certain people like, certain people hate. Building survival games. Some people love it, some people hate it. What's important is taking the core, let's say, use Pokemon as an example, and implementing what works. So you take a game like EverQuest, which by the way had hundreds of thousands of players back in the day, you bring it into 2025, 2026 and beyond, but you modernize it for a new generation. There's going to be plenty of people, like I was 13 when EverQuest came out, they're going to be immersed into the world. Yes, it's a different generation. Yes, people are have different expectations from video games, but that doesn't mean that it won't work for the newer generation as well, right? So I said that to say a lot of people are going to just say, no, this is not for me. But what's important for the developers to remember, that doesn't mean you change your vision. That's the number one thing I worry about, the only thing I worry about with any of these projects, whether it's Monsters and Memories or Pantheon or Rise of the Fallen. Do not bend to the will of other people's opinion that would have never been involved in the project anyways, because it's just not their cup of tea. Listen to your community, listen to the people that are from your core fan base, which is people that played EverQuest, and bring us the MMO that we've been asking for decades, especially if you're on the right track. In this case, Vanguard Saga of Heroes, because again, I'm going to keep comparing Pantheon Rise of the Fallen to Vanguard Saga of Heroes and Monsters and Memories to classic EverQuest 1. And I think they can both coexist from that context and technically not even compete against each other.
Still get to try it. And if you're anything like me, once you get to play the game, you'll see the promise, because it is the game that I want. It's the game that I've been wanting for years. It's the game that I've wanted since EverQuest 2 kind of went in a path that I didn't really want it to. But also the thing that I have been wanting for a while now is just more content to show, and that's what they're getting. We're getting a new zone, new things to
I'm definitely going to be streaming this. Going to be making recordings, live streams. It's on. One of the reasons why I got into YouTube before I found out about Monsters and Memories is exclusively so I can make videos about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And then I finally made this YouTube because of Monsters and Memories, and now this is happening with this is a dream come true for me, as far as having fun creating content. The core of my channel is still just me documenting my EverQuest adventure because it's for my own personal documentation. But if I can do Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, a little bit of Enshrouded, a little bit of Monsters and Memories, a little bit of EverQuest, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be having a blast. Because don't get it twisted, I make these videos more so for myself than anyone else. But I'm glad some of you are enjoying it, and I appreciate the feedback. And what I mean by feedback is please keep telling me if something is good, but also tell me when something is caca, so I can get better.
See in the game, and
sorry.
And that's what they're getting. We're getting a new zone, new things to see in the game, and that makes me really excited for what's to come. We've already gotten to see new NPC models. I will continue to say how much I really like the snake and how it freaking jump scares me. Like, it looks like a slithers, and it creeps me the fuck out. How realistic that little slither animation is. But also, just I really enjoyed the new NPC models I've seen in the game. So it's exciting to see. But I think it's important to put here, just like with every other indie MMO, while you're getting access by pledging, the pledge is to support the game itself.
Yep.
Kind of like the $250 I paid for Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 access.
There it is, Ashes of Creation. That was the other $250. So, and I know John already messaged me and told me this, but so again, here's $250 a month, right? That's for like the ultimate whatever, but I think the other tier that's $250 is the Pathfinder, so that will get you the champion pledge. So that's like you get 2 weeks of gameplay per season with one of a $250 pledge versus what you get with Ashes of Creation. I think it's $250 for the Alpha 2 test that should be coming in like Q3 or Q4. So I'm excited to try that project too, by the way. I'm very impressed with what they've accomplished, and I support them and wish them a lot of success. But I digress.
Earlier this year, don't go rushing to pledge just to gain access to the game.
Yes.
Especially if you don't have the money to. I see these indie MMOs as absolutely essential to the genre I love, one that has looked increasingly bleak as big projects have been announced and cancelled, or have been dreadfully over monetized. But that's another subject altogether. I want Pantheon to succeed. I want Ashes of Creation to succeed, Fractured Online, Embers Adrift, Monsters and Memories. I want all of these games to succeed because I feel like the genre has been very one note for probably 10 to 15 years in chasing something that I think is unobtainable. The same success that WoW had and was able to capture in a bottle in 2004. But wait, before didn't I say we were gonna get to play soon? And now I'm saying that if you're pledging at the $50 tier, you're not gonna get to play until like the end of March. Well, there's actually another test. There's a stress test coming on February 10th. It'll run for 24 hours from 10 a.m. p.m.
Okay, we're gonna back it up because this is a point that I missed, and this is why I'm sharing these videos with you, because it wasn't clear on the website.
February 10th. It'll run for. Well, there's actually another test. There's a stress test coming on February 10th. It'll run for 24 hours from 10 a.m. PST. Note that this will not include the new zone, but it is the first time anyone in the beta access tier of pledges will get to play.
So, let's go back here. What does that mean? So this is, again, so the $50 is technically the beta testers, right?
Note that this will not include until like the end of March. Well, there's actually another test. There's a stress test coming on February 10th.
So if you look at your calendar, I think it's this weekend. So you can literally, technically, you can pledge $50, like pay for the game, the box price, and log in this, what is it, Saturday? And go ahead and stress test it. Just play around, mess around, see if it's for you. I wouldn't log in to see if it's for you. I would log in to be a part of the development. But look, when I stress tested Monsters and Memories, I immediately felt like this was the game for me. You know what I mean? So maybe I should redact that statement. I might be joining Saturday. I'm still wondering if I want to keep my $50 or just wait until the season starts. But
the beta access tier of pledges will get to play. That's all the Pantheon news I have for you today, so go.
All right, so one more thing about Pantheon, and then we're going to get off of this subject. Like I said, we have an agenda. So the next thing I want to address is, first of all, I want to check this fella out. Never heard of him. I'm just kidding. It's Nathan Napalm. Come on, this guy's wild. I'm going to play some of his video as well. He's going to repeat most of everything that Redbeard Finn said, but again, just another perspective on all of this.
God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to playing Pantheon Rise of the Fallen if you have any of the pledge packages with access to beta, alpha, and of course pre-alpha. For a while now, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen has been available for pre-alpha pledgers with 24/7 access, meaning they can play whenever they want. All day, every day, any day. And not long ago, they started bringing in alpha testers to play for a day, but now we got a massive amount of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen news that will be bringing in all of the players to come test and enjoy Pantheon with tons of new content and big meaty content releases every 6 weeks to keep us engaged. We're going to be getting into all the meaty details, and my friends, you're going to want to stay here until the end because there are a ton of announcements today. So it's time to get hyped. My name is Nathan. I cover MMOs and RPGs, so please hit that like button like it owes you money and subscribe for more. So Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, the upcoming MMORPG, has announced that they are going to be going through what they are calling seasons, which means every 6 weeks they will be testing a particular zone or huge piece of content. And coming here this month on February 17th, the Avendir's Pass zone will open up for testers to smash through content of its overworld, which is a massive zone, and the zone that I've personally been waiting for. Now, Thronefast will still be available, and the connection between these zones is going to be seamless, which means that testers have much more than actual double the amount of content to play and explore. This is major news alone for Pantheon, and for anyone who played in Avendir's Pass in the past in its previous iteration. As you know, it's a ton of content, and Visionary Realms has reworked it and made it as content rich as Thronefast is, which is impressive, meaning we have literal hundreds of hours of...
I like how they have the random just like holes in the mountains. Like I watched some of the live streams of these guys, and he has, okay, sorry. Like, I don't know why I keep freezing these videos at the worst time. I'm sorry.
Of good old classic.
I'm trying to do the guy a favor, but anywho, like I've watched the streams, like some of the streams of them doing the pre-alpha testing, and I gotta say I'm very impressed with just how they're fleshing out the world. They're really filling it up. I also really like the skybox. But again, I haven't tried it, tested it. I don't know anything about Pantheon as far as a gameplay experience, so anything I say, take it with a grain of salt. I've played Monsters and Memories, and I'm a fanboy for that at the moment, but I've been waiting for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen long enough that I'm still going to check it out, and I know I'm still going to like it, so, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
MMO enjoyment that we can get out of it within 6 weeks and beyond. After that phase is over and we enter season 2, because these seasons are going to be in 6-week intervals. So this will be the first season. As we get into season 2, we're going to be entering a phase known as Mouth of Madness, according to the conversations I had with the devs. And come on, that basically points us to moving to Mad Run to test, which means another zone of absolute awesome content for this pre-release MMO. So basically, every 6 weeks, Visionary Realms plans to slap in big content releases. And what better way to celebrate than to let more of the pledge package holders get in and test? And that's exactly what Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is going to do.
So we're gonna pause right here. I do encourage you to go and check out the video, and any videos that any of the videos that I post or played on the live stream, I'm going to be posting them in the comments, so you can go and watch it for yourself. I do want to shift gears because we do have an agenda to keep. So that was the news on Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I'm super excited about it. I think that's phenomenal. There is another topic we need to discuss, and then I want to hop into all the goodness of Monsters and Memories. So as many of you might have seen, and other people streaming, there's a game called Enshrouded, right? And this is a very Valheim-esque type of game. So it's survival, multiplayer, up to 16 people, 16 of your friends, and crafting, right? It's a fully fleshed out world. Meaning it's not procedurally generated, but the developers actually placed all the hidden nooks and crannies and secrets. The other cool thing is it's voxel based, so think EverQuest Next, where you could basically build brick by brick or dig all the way to the bedrock as you would in Minecraft. Now mesh that all together in a high fantasy world with your friends. It's pretty cool. I've been playing it, and sometimes I get Valheim vibes, sometimes I get Minecraft vibes, and sometimes I even get EverQuest vibes, because it's a huge unknown world, and you're kind of creating your own journey. You can be a number of different classes. There's that there's a system to, you know, build whatever class you kind of want. But it has the core people, like, you know, a rogue, a ranger, a warrior, etc., etc. So this is going to be very quick, but I wanted to share this with you. One of the things, let me not spoil it. I already spoiled it, but okay. So like, I'm playing the game, right, and I'm talking about how it's it has all of the cool things I like in a multiplayer survival game. I like building, so I'm like, my friend John, he's like the adventurer and the swashbuckler, you know, doing all the quests. Well, he's more than that, but you know, like, he's into that kind of stuff. Me, I'm like one of those like homemakers, building my little homestead, making my little garden. So one of the ideas I thought about, I was like, you know what would be really cool? If I can rebuild Kelethon. And then I come across this video, and this guy kind of beat me to it. Let me see if I can cue it up in the right moment. Probably not, but here we go.
Looking to branch out and learn new and exciting ways to build the ultimate home base in Enshrouded? Look no further than here. Welcome, Flameborn. This is Eerie Knight of the Pseudoposse, and in this video, I'll go over my 30+ most useful advanced building tips.
So essentially, the guy built Kelethon. Obviously, Kelethon didn't have the guardrails, and it wasn't an actual house, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool if it's possible? And apparently it is. The other thing about this whole Enshrouded thing is that it's an early access. It's like $25 or something like that, and they've just released a bunch of new bug fixes, updates, and I'm excited to go check that out and probably stream it live.
Is being sheltered and look dang cool. We can, however, ramp it up a notch. Tip number 8: use these timbered block mix.
I just wanted to kind of show off how cool it looks. I mean, being in the trees, and there's like a grappling hook, so you can like place this little hook and, you know, grapple to it. It's really cool. One last video I recommend you guys go out and watch. Let me just pull it up right here. I think this is also by Nathan Napalm. Hold on one sec. Let me see if I can. Yeah. I want to see if there's a part of this video where he summarizes his build.
Benefit of making it easier for building our roof. Time for the roof. So unfortunately, I haven't found a good way of doing a shallower sloped roof using the roof block.
All right, here we go. Watch this. Wrong clip. There we go.
In hindsight, I ran out of some patience with the big circular structure to make it look like it's attached to the surrounding trees. At that point, I was getting fed up with the tree colliders. Building a treehouse in Enshrouded can definitely be a bit janky, but the end results are definitely beautiful in my opinion. Plenty of ways to creatively expand, and if playing with friends or on a
Yeah, that right there. I mean, maybe back a couple frames.
Definitely beautiful in my opinion.
But that definitely gives me like Kelethon vibes right there. So, alright, I'm gonna take my druid butt, wood elf druid butt out of here. And
game include the
it was Redbeard Finn. So if you're a fan of EverQuest, I highly recommend you watch Redbeard's take on Enshrouded. I just think he has a very good. Well, let me play some of it. So I don't need to talk for him.
The first time I played Enshrouded, I was buried alive.
And if I
Wait, am I stuck? No. Stop.
it was nice to meet you, Red.
Now with the game officially released into early access, I've been evicted. Did I or did I not build a towering structure that may or may not have looked like it may have been doing something you'd see in a Halo game to my friend's house?
Betrayal.
Well, maybe. Did I also dig up a huge subterranean area cavern that looked a bit like a dungeon just to build up those stone monoliths? Well, yes. But that's only a small part of what made me so engaged and enthralled with Enshrouded, a game that is kind of at this vanguard of these new like MMO light games, these shared world games which have a lot of the same kind of basic tenets that make MMOs themselves so interesting. A genre that is really growing at this point and will continue to grow in the next month with Nightingale, that kind of blurs the line between RPG and MMO. There's a lot to like in Enshrouded, like all of this.
Yeah, to be honest, after a long day at work, you know, kids, responsibilities, all that stuff, I want a game I can just like relax, you know what I mean, and just chill, and that's one of the things I appreciate about Enshrouded for sure. All right, that was cool. So he used the glider, and then like I mentioned in the previous video I just played, there's a grappling hook. So he just missed the landing. So see how right there's a little like cube. So he jumps, misses it, and at the last minute he hits his grappling hook. That's tight. That's really cool. I haven't seen this part yet, so that's awesome. Also look at the notice how he's playing more of like an archetype, like a warrior, or maybe even a battle mage. No, that's a mace. And then this guy is a ranger, and this guy's more like a rogue. I think he's got like a shield or something like that. It's really cool just being able to have your own playstyle.
Enshrouded is the new survival craft shared world PvE focused role-playing game, which is a freaking mouthful to say, but it does accurately describe this new iteration from Keen Games that just released into early access. In it, you enter the world as a Flameborn, the last hope of an ancient civilization against the creeping Shroud. Not this Shroud, although they did make a little bit of joke about this Shroud on Twitter, which I think is, pretty good marketing. I'm looking forward to Enconage. I don't think they're gonna be in any rush to make Enbeard Flynn did. Doesn't work, doesn't flow from the tongue. Enshrouded is a game with deep customization, interesting lore, less friction than most survival games, exciting action combat, voxel-based destructible and constructible environments. Yes, voxel, like the things that were used in EverQuest Landmark.
Yeah. EverQuest landmark. I said EverQuest next earlier. One thing you just mentioned about less friction as a survival game. A lot of survival games, they require you to like eat and drink and sleep and do your laundry and all this stuff, and it just gets really tedious sometimes. And there's none of that here. Like, eating gives you a benefit, a buff, or quicker regeneration to your health, versus having to do it just to survive, you know? So it's a lot more chill, but it's also impactful. So when you do it, it makes sense, right? So Valheim is a great example where it gets tedious. You know, you can literally lose the game if you don't stay hydrated or eat, you know. Doesn't mean it's a bad game, it's just a different type of experience. I'd say like Valheim is similar to hardcore EverQuest, and this would be more of the laid back World of Warcraft type of quality of life stuff.
And much
That was a
more.
terrible analogy.
King Games, the developer of this game, actually is making this game in its own engine. That's something that I really wanted to point out here at the very beginning of the video, because it's not being made in Unity. It's not being made in Unreal. Keen Games is making Enshrouded in their own proprietary voxel-based engine. And that may be one of the most impressive things, because it runs pretty damn well. Now granted, I have a decent computer, so I don't always get the same look at performance as some people may. I used to have the shit computer, now I have a good computer. I've never really had the in between. It's always been really bad or really good. But for me, it's run very well. But what drew me to Enshrouded wasn't actually anything to do with building. It wasn't anything to do with survival. It was to do with the more MMORPG-like elements. Things that I'm happy to report are there, though they could use a little bit of work. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I would compare the gameplay similar to the newer Zelda games. But you know what? I digress. Let me just press play.
There are some core gameplay loops in this new batch of survival games that are starting all the way back in Valheim that hit on some things I love about MMOs. Namely, exploring a world together with friends, completing quests, getting loot, and tackling major challenges together. And those challenges and that loot and those quests, those things were promised with Enshrouded. When you jump into Enshrouded, you quickly realize that a lot of work has gone into the beauty of the game. Specifically, the world. There are breathtaking views the moment you step outside of your vessel. A world that, unlike many games in this genre, is actually not procedurally generated. It's handcrafted with everything placed deliberately. Oh yeah, and there's fall damage. Wow, this draw doesn't...
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful game.
This is insane. Oh, yeah, that's expected. But there's not much of a death penalty. You just respawn and you have to go back to your corpse to get some of your backpack materials. Materials that are fairly easy to gather, easy to snap together, easy to build and to create with. Manipulating the very terrain of the world, reutilizing already built structures and building off of them by
so that's another very cool thing. Even if you're not into building, you can literally find a rundown town, place your place marker or like a bindstone, whatever you want to call it, and you can add to the existing buildings and just build there. The other thing that he showed off in the video was like you'll find chests buried under rubble. So there's like secrets to explore. It gets pretty intense, but you guys can go ahead and watch the rest of this video. I think this is a really good take on it, especially from a perspective of somebody that plays EverQuest. And we're going to move on to the next thing on the agenda. So far we've covered the breaking news about Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Wanted to give a quick update about Enshrouded. Definitely check it out. One thing I wanted to talk about is just a couple future things for the channel, and this is a quick thank you, because a lot of the feedback and comments I've received were like suggestions, and it's given me ideas on stuff that I never thought I wanted to try. And by the way, well, let me just go here really quick. This was crazy. So 131, I was like at 50 like a week ago. How do I have 131? Who the heck is watching this, and why? Why are you here? Like, what are you doing? There's tons of other things to be doing besides watching my ugly mug. So, thank you. I did create a Discord channel too, so it's I'm not sharing my screen, so I'm kind of I meant to do this. So when I was pointing to this 131, like. Why? Anyway, and then I created a Discord channel in case you ever want to hang out. I definitely want to, like, when I do sessions of EverQuest, I want to group up with some of you. I'm already playing with some of you. You know who you are, and I appreciate it. So, like this right here where it says 3 watching, like, who the heck is watching this? The whole point I'm even recording this is because it would take me too long to edit all this, especially when I don't have my mic and I'm using this thing. So anyways, let me get to the point. So there's 3 projects I want to try. First, I wanted to ask you guys if you've ever heard of this. This is a video from 2021. This is one of the main developers of Monsters and Memories, and I stumbled across this video where he's playing EverCraft online. They have a Discord channel. You should go check it out. It's like super pre-alpha type of stuff, but it's just another project to consider. I think they're doing testing, but it's essentially like for people that want EverQuest and Minecraft. So if you ever had the crazy idea of what that would be like, that's what this is. See, a no pub.
Off our phase 3 development, which will really kind of bring a lot of the content of this island all together and stuff. So
Awesome.
we're experiencing the newest area there, the Greenwood cover.
That's what I really like about this guy. He's always building other people up. He's always supporting other developers. He's testing other projects. Like, he's a real Chad. So I appreciate him. And I don't know if it was him or one of the people on his team, but they subscribed to my channel like a week ago, and I was like, I got starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, Monsters and Memories subscribed. It was funny. But I mean, we're all just chill people, and this guy is super chill. You should definitely check out his live streams. I'm gonna post it in the chat, but he has his own YouTube channel outside of Monsters and Memories, and he has a Twitch. I'm gonna timestamp what I'm talking about right now and put his information in there so you can check him out, because Sean, I think, I'm bad with names, but he's really good, just fun to watch. And plus, if you want to stay up to date with Monsters and Memories, then you should be going to the source and not listening to me.
Pretty much, it's all experimental in pursuit of getting the art style locked before we go into a broader production.
I think he's talking about
you know,
Monsters and Memories right now. Hold on, let's back up. I want to hear what he has to say.
All experimental. We've just brought on board an artist who is playing with us, actually, Pattis, who's helping with environment art, and we're getting some NPC art in from Zukin, and so we're getting there, but it's still in my mind like very much it's all experimental in pursuit of getting the art style locked before we go into a broader production, and you know, potentially scaling that just through the art house or
Totally, you gotta nail your look and feel and know what you're aiming for.
Yeah, I think they're definitely nailing the look and feel. So, anywho, I'm gonna post this project in the chat. So I definitely want to try that. Then I had another person suggest the following.
I'd like to.
All right, so this is from one of the episode 3 of Chill Play of Project Quorum, and one of the people in the chat made a suggestion. Mogden, this is from a day ago. He said, please do a video leveling a DAoC Eden character, so Dark Age of Camelot. I completely forgot. I didn't forget about this game, but I'm intrigued at the idea. So if any of you are playing it, or any of you want to group up and show me the ropes, hit me up on Discord or leave a comment on this video, because I'm gonna check it out. Here's a video I found. So this is actually Nathan Napalm talking about it.
To me, that's the limit. Now, some people can pull it off longer because they look younger, etc. I think once you hit 25, the colors, you know, it's pretty much dead. That's a dead game. It's over.
Yeah.
Just my opinion,
No, this brings back memories. I'm not too much into the PvP aspect, but I would definitely like to get into the PvE aspect of this. I mean, as a kid growing up, who wasn't intrigued by the Knights of the Round Table? That's what I think about. I mean, Dark Age of Camelot. It's in the name.
My opinion.
Let me fast forward. Yeah, look at these Minotaur-looking guys. I don't even know if that's a Minotaur, but whatever. Yeah, but this was definitely part of my childhood. Like, EverQuest, World of Warcraft, Dark Age of Camelot. All of that. So yeah, anyways, to the guy that suggested that, thank you. I'm definitely going to be checking it out. The next thing I want to do in the future is the following. So I've since my mic has been since my microphone broke, I was posting day 8 without a microphone. Oh, talk about first world problems. So they finally got the mic back. They just haven't refunded me, but I should be ordering that soon. Right here, I asked, what's your favorite classic mainstream MMORPG? And somebody suggested, I'm going to read the whole comment. So, Kalmathar. So, I'll go ahead and read this. Looking very, very much forward to Monsters and Memories as well, of course. That said, Vanguard Saga of Heroes is still my long-time favorite. It was just a fantastic game with so much more potential. In the end, there was a decent amount of content and the game ran smoothly though. On top of the EQ feel, it also had a great crafting system. Diplomacy, which was more or less its own very well-made mini-game within the game. Exciting harvesting in rares and ultra-rares. Fun fishing, later by player boats and ships. Non-instant guild halls, and I didn't know any of this. Non-instant guild halls and player housing, which really made the world. And the most amazing classes and abilities, spells, as especially the Blood Mage and the Disciple, more or less a caster healer and a monk healer type. On top of that, the graphics were spot on in my opinion. Yeah, this was around the time of World of Warcraft, so from the videos I've seen, it's pretty cool. Too good for its time, really, as it required quite a lot at the time. Can you say EverQuest 2? Because I remember when that came out and my PC could not run that at all. But enough. As with Monsters and Memories, more or less, that it felt very immersive, and it holds up even today, with the dungeon actually looking and feeling exciting, unlike EQ, which very fairly lacks a bit on that front. I can see where he's coming from there. Unfortunately, they closed the game down entirely, and only some of the old code was ever collected, mostly the client side, of course. There is still an amazing emulator team who has recreated most of the game, and they're still chipping away at it. They can be followed through Discord, of course, although they still haven't been able to recreate the mob abilities, making them mostly only auto attack, which is really a very important aspect, sadly. When they finally get that part done, though, I think it'll be nothing short of amazing to relive Vanguard. It truly is an amazing game and world. So, yeah, I obviously responded to that, and this is the Discord link to that. So, I've already visited it, subscribed to their Discord, and it's legit. Vanguard, Saga of Heroes. I'm not trying to spell. Whoops. Heroes. Yeah, I know. I can't spell at 2 in the morning. Relax. So this is the so there's only about 13 players in the game, but there's a community of over like 2,000, 4,000 people, and there's, just go check it out for yourself. So enough about that. I will say, if you are interested or you want to get hype about it and you want to try it out for yourself,
First of all,
once
Vanguard
again,
Saga of
Napalm.
Heroes was an MMORPG that released back in 2007, and due to not being optimized or ready for launch, didn't make it and was shut down in 2014. Even though they had brought the game to a very playable state and tried many different avenues to attract new players, out of the 242,000 or so copies sold of Vanguard, this MMO released in just too shoddy of a state to make a recovery and get the players back. In my opinion, a lot of us didn't know the game was even fixed or was playable, and we just never looked back. It didn't help that Vanguard Saga of Heroes was released around the time of World of Warcraft's first expansion, the Burning Crusade.
So again, this is Brad McQuaid's vision, right? Post EverQuest. So look at it through that lens. This is Brad McQuaid's baby, and once again, mainstream developers kind of screwed him into. They screwed the pooch and basically forced him to release it before it was ready. But it was a very ambitious project, and I think any of Brad McQuaid's visions were nothing short of, next level. And so Pantheon Rise of the Fallen was built on the heels of Vanguard Saga of Heroes. The more research I'm doing, is that's what it looks like. So really, that's why in the beginning of this stream or video, depending on when you're watching it, I mentioned that Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is like Vanguard Vanguard Saga of Heroes, and Monsters and Memories is going to be the continuation of EverQuest. It's going to be a remake, the remake of EverQuest that we've always wanted. So, my opinion,
Vanguard,
by the way. I have nothing to do with either development team, so if they're cringing at what I'm saying, I apologize. These are my opinions.
Saga of Heroes is an MMORPG that is very special, and for many people out there, it holds some of their favorite MMO times, and it is playable today thanks to a hard-working indie team being led by Xenix on a private server called VANGAURD. I have links in the description down below. If you click the show more down there, you'll see that and you can get started yourself. And before we continue any further, if you enjoy MMORPG content, this is your place. Please subscribe and help this channel grow. Now let's hear from our sponsors, the members of Napalm, and then we'll talk about why you should give Vanguard a shot in 2022. Hey, listen up. I want to give a thank you to the members of Napalm. You are the sponsors of this channel, and thank you for your support. I think you are interested in becoming a member, so strap on your gear, equip your weapon, and cast the spell of awesome by clicking join down below the video for options. And I want to give a very special thank you to the Lords of Napalm. Bounty Code, Jared Woodhouse, Daimlos, Farthest Reach, Sparrow, Christopher Hensel, Random Rob, Kenneth Kramer, Zelic Lived, Rodden Yo Mom, and Greenhouse. Thank you for your highest tier membership. Now let's talk about today, where we stand with the beloved open world MMORPG that is Vanguard Saga of Heroes. The only way to play Vanguard Saga of Heroes at the time of this recording is on the emulation server I spoke of earlier, and I have links to get started in the description, and the server is currently in alpha state.
Alright, so I think we get the point on that. Definitely check out Nathan Napalm's video on this. There's another video here that you might want to check out. This is Return to Vanguard in 2023, also by Nathan. And I'm gonna scrub through this next video really quick, just so we can move on to Monsters and Memories, because I need to make sure I have enough energy to devote the rest of the stream to that, because get hype. It's really cool news, really, and I'm gonna try to get to the point quick. So I picked this video because it was in 4K. I'm not sure if it's sped up. I don't think it's sped up. His mount probably just runs really fast. So let me skip a little bit. Oh yeah, that's nuts. I mean, look at that. If this was released back then, I mean, yeah, I can see why this was very ambitious. Yeah, with a group of friends, this would be super fun. I'm definitely checking this out. It definitely has some like EverQuest 2 vibes from a graphical standpoint, but I think it has a little bit more character. I can't put my finger on it, but okay, so it's pretty much just more of the same in this video, but just wanted to see what it looked like in 4K. All right, so we are finally here. We are at that point when we're going to talk about Monsters and Memories. I'm going to put a timestamp for 1 hour and 12 minutes into the comment section, so we can skip over to Monsters and Memories for the people that are just watching this as a recording. I'm super excited to tell you about this update that just came out, and you know, what better way to start than oh wait, wrong instrument. Now the flute, ready? Doo-doo. All right. yeah. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Clearly I'm pressed, but here's what we're actually here to see.
Hey guys.
All right. This update video is phenomenal, and if you made it this far to my video, I think you should just leave this video and go to Sparrow, hit the subscribe. I'm using a different channel, that's why I'm not subscribed. I'm normally subscribed. Hit the subscribe button, like this video. Sparrow is a very fun person to watch, very wholesome, and just enjoyable. So without further ado, I'm gonna hit play, but go to her channel and support it yourself. You don't need to watch this video here. I am gonna focus on certain points, but in the beginning I just want to let it play. So this is the latest updates as of 14 hours ago for Monsters and Memories. So let's get into it.
Nice. Monsters and Memories has just released its meaty January update, number 39. So I'm excited to dig right into it, see all the awesome updates they've been doing, their concept art, their in-game art. I'm sure they've been up to tons of stuff. So without further ado, let's dig in. All right, here it is, update 39, January 2024. They write, "Hi all, we hope the new year is treating you right. As mentioned in last month's update, we've got some data and technical learnings from the November stress test and December playtest to pass along this month. We spent the month of January on a fun environment art focused mini milestone
So I was just talking into mute, but what I was saying is this is going to be word for word the latest updates that came out. And if you're a stats nerd, I recommend you go to the end of the video and check out the feedback that they got from the stress test and from the play test, because it shows that they're taking the development very seriously and they're learning from the tests, hence why it's a beta, alpha, etc. They're actually taking this pre-alpha testing and learning and implementing changes into the world. So
we named our biome jam.
sorry about talking into mute, you know, it happens.
And I have seen some of those biomes and they are amazing. While also continuing to grind away at the usual work that you've come to expect. The goal of the Biome Jam was to see how quickly we could create new environmental themes. We weren't looking to make complete zones and mostly reuse the same terrain, but rather convey the theme through minimal use of new textures, props, lighting, and fog.
So really quick, I'm gonna go to their homepage, see if I can pull up the update as well. Yeah, so here is the official update. This was meant to give us some insight into future work while also just being fun and giving you a taste of things to come. Talking about the test, both in the near term and the long term. Keep in mind that images you'll see below are hitting the 60 to 80% quality bar for future work. So they're basically saying that, look, this is a work in progress and really just like a proof of concept. So this is really cool. This is new concept art, and in one of my previous videos I said that concept art like makes or breaks a game. Firm believer in that. So this is one of their harpies. I'm gonna stop for a second and go back here.
This was meant to give us some insight into future work, while also just being fun and giving you 80% pretty well concept art. NPC concepts including harpies, fairies, bears, wolves, yay, my favorite, fluffy spiders, centaurs, various birdmen and women and undead, random other creatures. Also the Biome Jam swamp props, spider dungeon, oh those are always a hit, High Elf City. And this looks like one of their harpies. Got the 80s hair going on. Looking pretty cool. Fairies.
That reminds me of the fairies that are flying around in Camelot.
Very cool.
The fairy tricksters or whatever you call them.
These are their concept arts.
Yeah, the concept art here is really cool. So she's gonna look at it, but since I have it up on my screen, I'm gonna zoom in and take a closer look. Wolf, bear, or spider. I'm not sure. Is that a minotaur or centaur? One of the two, but that looks really cool. With and without a helmet. No way. You know who this reminds me of? It's in EverQuest there was an island of the bird people. One of my favorite camps actually. You had to get on a boat from Oasis of Mar and travel there. So, anyways, more bird people. Love it. There we go. A little undead bird person. This looks like he's made out of like sludge and earth. He has like a little fungus, like a fungus person. Oh, gotta love these guys. See him all the time in Camelot, Greater Feydark, that is. Like those wasps that you see. This gives me D&D vibes, old school D&D vibes. This guy's ready. He's a boxer. That's cool. I like that. I wonder if this is like a NPC of just like a floating face, or like some kind of ghost or something. Yeah, like something like that. That's really cool. But yeah, definitely go check that out for yourself. All right, this is where it gets exciting. So we're gonna skip through a bit.
Thick-beaked bird creature. It's unique with still going with the theme that we're used to with the bird creatures, the AVAC style.
AVAC. That's what it was. It was the AVACs in EverQuest. You get on the boat in Oasis of Mar, and you start traveling towards like the I think it's Kunark. I can't remember right now. And then you jump off the boat, and then there's a AVAC island. There's also one in one of the Karanas. So, cool birds.
Some more concept art.
I like this. Yeah, the concept art, I mean, is phenomenal. Whoever their concept artist is
Trees.
well, actually, I know who it is. I watch his live streams. I just don't remember his name. But again, I'm bad with names, so nothing against the guy.
Lights around it. Ooh, this is really cool.
Yeah, this is a zone I'm never going to go into. So hard pass on that.
Cool. Deep dark woods. Reminds me Hobbit, when he gets all entangled with the spiders and the trees. Makes me think of that.
Oh, I watched this live. He was making this I mean, just look. Like, are you kidding me? Look at that. Yeah, so I mean, I think this is gonna be my favorite concept art. Um, definitely my favorite so far. I have a lot of favorites, but this one is my new favorite.
An elf city. Very nice. A big statue over here. Waterfalls, of course.
Yeah.
All right, on to character art and animations. Female gnomes are now playable.
Yeah, I really like how they're coming along with the character textures. So female gnomes are now playable. Iteration on female gnomes. Female wood elves created. Male wood elves started. Male wood elves. Yes. Yes. Legolas, here I come. No, but yeah, that's my main in every high fantasy game. It's just sue me. Like that's what I'm into. So here's my biggest ask for the wood elves. Please let there be an iris and pupils similar to what you see right here. Right? See how you have the eyes here? I've said this before, I'll say it again, and this is just my opinion, and you can say go, touch grass. But my only ask is for the wood elf, and this is a personal opinion, and everyone might disagree with my opinion, but this looks cool. I mean, it looks really cool, and it probably will grow on me, but it's gonna have to grow on me. I kind of want the pupils and stuff like that. Like, basically, I don't want to look too alien, but it's your game, it's your vision. Do what you feel is right, because at the end of the day, my opinion doesn't matter, and you'd be better off just doing what you feel is artistically right for your game, and I'll get used to it. But I'm a classic D&D elf, looking like a, whatever. Just my opinion. I digress. I'll stop. I won't bring it up again, okay? But the point is, like, look at the eyes. I mean, come on. I love the skins in the game so far. I mean, this is art. Can you imagine if EverQuest, the original EverQuest, looked like this? It has the same aesthetic as far as like the art style, but it's just so much more sharp. I'm really digging this. So that's really cool. Oh yeah. Okay, so it looks like the eyes are gonna be that. So I'm just gonna accept it. I guess it's kind of similar to how World of Warcraft had night elves. They also had the blank kind of eyes. So, but the models look great, and there's like little leaves, and it looks good. It looks good. Oh man. That's a really clean looking model. Look at that thing. That is really fantastic. That is really fantastic. Oh, this is my favorite. Look at this. I mean, picture yourself in Crushbone fighting those orcs. Like, you'll never forget how they look, right? This is your new orc. This is your new universe, and I can see myself. This is like already timeless. And you know what I love about Monsters and Memories? This is what I love about Monsters and Memories. Let me find it. I mean, check out their concept art. It's ridiculous. It's amazing. But So illustrations. So this is how you make a successful game. You start from concept art. You have a vision. It's almost like you're writing a book. You're telling a story. And you go from that to that. Let me go back and forth. So there's the vision. I did it again. So there's the vision. And then there's the end result. I think that's super cool. I'm just so impressed. They're already tightening up on the animations. So look at that. Even the animations are starting to come together. Nice classic looking animations. I mean that in a good way. That's like a block or a parry cast in a spell. A block. Oh heck no. No. I don't want that. I can't stand spiders. I'm just kidding. It's just a freaking spider. But that looks, if that's the effect they're going for, you know what I mean, a creepy looking spider that you want to run for your life. Yeah, they are doing a good job. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at the way the mouth is moving over here. I'm actually really impressed. I mean, it just kind of dawned on me. It's like these animations look really clean. Ha! I love it. Alright, so those were... Alright, so we're going to go back to Sparrow's video.
Iteration on female gnomes. Female wood elves created. Male wood elf started. Spider created and added to the game. Orcs created. Female ogre animations continued. Female gnome animations started. And the spider is animated. So it looks like these are the female gnomes. Love it. Different angle. Nice. They're kind of tall and lean, like we're used to our high elves being. Got some scary spiders, black widow type without the markings. An orc warrior. We got some animations here. I think that's the ogre, but I could be wrong. Got fighting. Looks like being hit here. Casting, blocking. Very cool. Sitting animation. Moving down to the spiders. Standing there looking around. His idle animation. You can almost hear them. Alright.
Alright, this is where one of the reasons I made this whole video is because of what's coming up now, right? And I prefaced this several times through the video. Once when I was talking about Enshrouded, about the Camelot city, and this is awesome. Here we go.
On to environment art. Biome Jam. The biomes include Forest City, some other images shown in the last update as well, the snowy biome, swamp, temperate coast and hills, and volcanic. I think you're going to be super impressed with the volcanic, and my favorite is the forest and jungle-y looking ones, but let's read on. Did a quick experiment using texture and fog variations to see how much it changed the vibes in one zone.
So this is another thing that I've been preaching. Before I knew about Monsters and Memories, I was comparing the development of Valheim, which took a long time as well behind the scenes, and Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, how a lot of people were complaining about the graphics. And basically what Valheim did is they took a very pixelated art style and then they added atmospheric effects, lighting effects, and that's what makes Valheim look so good. So we're going to be seeing that. It's confirmed with what's being said right now that we're going to be seeing fog and special lighting, all the modern bells and whistles when it comes to atmosphere in Monsters and Memories. So it's going to take the like low polygon graphic style and transform it with what you're about to see. So give me a second here. All right, watch this. I'm intentionally not sharing my screen right now, so just bear with me. Okay. All right, now I'll share my screen again.
Concepted and gray boxed a location only known as Party City. Experimented with an environmental lighting effect. Looks like.
All right, let's do this. So I believe there's a lift here, and this is telling you how you're going to traverse the city. Yep, so right here, going up, and then climbing up there. Look at the scale. Yeah, I'm sold. That alone is just like, let me get my card out, take all my money. This is awesome. So one of the things I want to point out, so I'm not yelling over the music, but one of the things I want to point out about this is the volumetric or atmospheric stuff is going to make a huge difference, and the lighting and the textures. Remember, they're saying this is like 60% of the way there. Like, they're still going to update the textures. They're still probably going to add a bunch of things here and there. I mean, this is going to look completely different stretched out on your 4K monitor. There's going to be sound effects. There's going to be so much Like if you've been following the project and you see how they took Night Harbor from like a gray boxed zone, and then they started filling in the textures, and then they started adding shadows and lighting. It looks night and day different. This is gonna look night and day different. But we essentially are getting me personally, this is the one thing I asked for. Like, I'm like, if somebody remakes EverQuest or makes an EverQuest clone, or just again, what I said about Power World earlier, where you don't reinvent the wheel, just follow the model that works, right? And EverQuest didn't create tree cities. You remember Lord of the Rings when that movie first came out? I forgot what the city is called, right? Or the High Elf city where they were, or not the elf. It was the Elf city where there was a waterfall, and Lord of the Rings too. Like, it's used in High Elf scenarios in RPGs. So again, for all the naysayers that are like, oh, it's just an EverQuest clone, it's like, no, this is high fantasy. This is exactly how it is in, D&D and other fantasy games and the books we read as kids and Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. They're just bringing what works into 2024 and beyond. My only feedback is I see this as it looks like the cat person, which I'm not sure if this city belongs to them, but I'm telling you right now, as a wood elf, I'm gonna be living there. I don't care if I'm KOS. I'll find a way to raise my faction up just so I can live in the city. All right, so that was my favorite part of this update and this video.
We're getting into this foresty tree city, reminding us of Calathan. Concept art and how you get around here. Very cool. Oh, that lighting makes it look incredible. We got the shelf mushrooms there. Ooh, like foggy, nighttime, dusk. Love the ambient lighting and fog. Great job. The lighting there. Oh, that looks fantastic. Got a little fire down here, like a camp below all the terraces. Really love the lighting.
And I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there's no guardrails. So yes, people will fall. I look forward to that.
Probably gonna.
Okay, I take that back. There's some guardrails, but Calathan had guardrails in some places too, just not everywhere.
Be my favorite area. It just looks cool. Oh, we got one of the up in the tree platforms, and we have for scale some little creature here. I can't even make out what it is. It's so small, but I'm guessing it's scale to human or maybe elf. Very cool.
I got a comment from one of the people that I know. It said Monsters and Memories. So they agree with me that actually I'm not gonna say this comment, but let's just say my comment about the Wood Elves. They agreed that maybe the Wood Elves should be a little bit more friendlier because they're more of a flamboyant kind of race, But again, I promised I wouldn't bring it up again, so just give them pupils and an iris, please. Give me the Lord of the Rings. Never mind. Let me stop. I'm gonna piss off some of the devs.
Excellent. Oh, there's some.
This is really cool, because now we're transitioning to like Velius, or Halas, however you say it. That's gonna look really cool. wherever that is. I've never been a fan of like snowy areas, but obviously I'm gonna get on board with anything Monsters and Memories. I like the mountain, jungle, kind of volcano looking place. This is really cool. This reminds me of the huts that are right outside of Freeport and Oasis of Mar. So I actually saw this zone without any of the lighting, and this is just a testament of how this whole atmospheric fog and all those other things are going to make such a huge difference. So yeah, that's definitely cool. This is interesting. This is a really cool looking bat. So I saw this. Sean was streaming, and he was showing off this area. He was actually this is why I recommend you go on his Twitch and watch some of his live streams, because he shows off these zones live, like flying around, you know. And I saw this without the atmospheric stuff, and it looked night and day different. You know, it adds so much character. But let's take a closer look here. Look at that. Again, the skybox looks really cool. Whatever tower this is gonna be, it looks like it's currently like gray box, but obviously it's gonna look like some majestic, like mage tower or something cool. Or who knows? I say mage tower because there's these floating rocks there, so maybe like an enchanter tower or something like that. But yeah, that looks really cool. So the next part is gonna be even cooler, but I'm gonna let Sparrow tell us about it.
I think this was the snowy area. Cool rocks, snow building up.
So she's gonna go over the stuff we already looked.
Having a hard time getting.
But it's gonna get somewhere really good, and you don't want to miss this part.
It with the grays and the whites. I know if they did like a flip where it looked opposite, it would be way too dark. So I think they were still working on that, but that looks really, really cool. I love the way the rocks are and the snow piled on top and on the trees. Looks great. It's more of that green, kind of foggy jungle look. Expect to see like lizard men walking through or something. Oh, these huts are great. Campfire. Very cool. Ooh. Like a wide open plains. Different rocks, some sort of building up there. Kind of a starry sky, but it's daytime. These floating rocks back here. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be floating or not, but it still looks cool. I can envision what it's going to look like, and the way these rocks just flow. It looks great. You can just see it being windswept. And here we are.
Yeah,
with
this is
very
tight.
Impressive.
This is so cool.
Volcanic.
This is super cool. And the picture doesn't do justice, and a lot of it is still gray box, and he's taken this picture from Unity. But can you imagine, like Lava Storm, only with modern assets?
Lava zone or biome. And I've seen this live on stream with his character standing by the lava. It looks incredible. The lava flow is pretty realistic. All these burnt ashen and embers on the trees. It's very, very...
Yeah, the pictures don't do justice. But here, take a look at it a little closer while we're here. Now, obviously, this is going to be like flowing and moving, and then there's going to be reflections off of it. You can see it on the rocks, right? So that's the beauty of going with this classic art style, but with a modern engine, is that you can make all of these so-called flat images reflect light, giving it dimension. It's going to look so epic. And like these, like Sparrow said, the coal, like charred trees, I'm sure they're gonna have like some kind of radiance or glow to them, like an actual ember feel. It really doesn't matter how flat the actual image or texture is, if there's good lighting. Again, I want to bring up the example of Valheim. Look at it closely. It's pixelated and it's flat. But because of the lighting, it has depth. By the way, I'm about 2 hours into this. I started this very late. It's almost 3 in the morning, and I got to be wrapping up soon so I can go to work in a few hours, but really wanted to get this out. Hopefully my microphone comes back soon, and I can resume a normal schedule. But here's an example of what we've been talking about. Yeah. No, that's gonna look really cool. Anyways, I recommend you guys check out Monsters and Memories, and definitely check out the website. We're gonna go through a few more of these and wrap it up. So again, here's more of that fog that we were talking about right here. And they're showing the different examples. Like here, it's got this shade. Here, it's like a little different. I'm sure there's going to be different times of the day. All of that is going to play an effect. So here's what it looks like on a clear day, foggy, and then completely foggy. So they're going to be able to transform the world just by the atmospheric stuff. It's really cool. This is like stuff they're taking inspiration from. Cool pillars on wall, question mark. That looks like the Anunnaki or whatever they're called. Walkway underwater. So this is looks like an Atlantis type of city. See how it's surrounded by water, it's got jungle. I mean, this is going to look really cool. I kind of don't want to breeze past this and really have a deeper dialogue about this, but I really need to wrap this up. Yeah, that looks super cool. It kind of reminds me of Night Harbor. Is this the main castle in Night Harbor, or the palace? Or am I tripping? Oh, look. Portals. Spouts for water. This is how the magic happens. Right? Starts off with this, just an idea, and then the concept art, design, and then finally animation, or bringing it to life. This is an example of the gray boxing I was talking about. So yeah, you kind of gray box the area, make it three-dimensional, and then you can just use a paintbrush to paint over it for ideas. So this is lightning effect, I think. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, the spell effects are going to be insane. So obviously the audio, they're doing a great job there. You can read through all these updates, but design changes, the faction changes. Oh, there's going to be spider factions. That's cool. New trait, sneak. Oh yeah, I know somebody that will really like that. General abilities, yada yada. All the updates that they did on all the classes. Paladin, I know somebody that is really into those. Go ahead and go to the website and check all this out for yourself. This is all the bug fixes and tech. You can look through there. We're going to skip down. This is the part I wanted to show off before I end the stream. So this is for the December playtest. They had 922 concurrent players. 2,272 people participated. For the stress test, it was 871 people. So I took part in that test in November, and I took part in the public one, and I was also had both of the tests. So I'm one of the 665 people that was there. This is how much time people played on average from a percentage standpoint. This is the different races that were available at the time and the percentage of people that played those races. Classes played, so Necromancer was the #1 played race, but to be honest, it was all pretty balanced. I was all the way down here as the 5% because I was a druid. And this is the total amount of players that reached like whatever level. One person even reached level 15, which is pretty insane considering the playtest only lasted I think it was a total of 2 hours. So this is really cool because they go over all the issues that they went through, and they're sharing it publicly, like, hey, this is what we learned from the test, this is where we messed up, this is what we did different on the next test, and this is how it's going to help us in the future. I just think that's super cool. Like, if I was an investor, this would be the proof of concept that I'm looking for as an investor, being like, yeah, I would get behind this project. These people know exactly what they're doing. So, and again, their PR is really good because this is good PR right here. The fact that they have random people like me, you know, staying up till 3 in the morning making a video, clearly they're doing something right. But on that note, guys, so I did have one more thing I wanted to do before ending the stream. Part of the agenda was I wanted to end it with some EverQuest. I'm going to force it out of myself, and before we do that, I just want to remind everyone, please go watch this video on your own. Monsters and Memories, don't miss the environment art in this update by Sparrow. Subscribe, like, and yeah, just great content. But as we wrap this up, I want to thank everyone for watching, and we're going to end it on a fun note. And we're not going to watch the whole video, but I just thought this was really cool, something you guys would appreciate.
Who could forget the first time they saw a dragon in EverQuest? This episode we celebrate the dragons that populate Norath in EverQuest and EverQuest 2, their history, lore, art, and at times the sheer frustration or exhilaration at their defeat. And which zone of EverQuest is based off of this 80s movie? Find out in this episode of The EverQuest Show.
I don't know if that's a copywritten song, so I'm gonna just skip through it.
Fading here in the Welcome to the EverQuest Show. I'm Fading here in the EverQuest Show studios, and I have to admit,
Dragons are my favorite creatures in all of EverQuest. They come in all shapes and sizes, they dominate the stories and lore of Norrath. Even in a land filled with magic and strange creatures, dragons are the pinnacle of high fantasy. And this year is not only the year of Darkpaw, but 2024 is also the year of the dragon. So it would seem appropriate to count down my favorite dragons in Norrath, and yes, you know I love a top 10. So which do you think should take the number 1 spot? And we're going to look at how they evolve from EverQuest 1 to EverQuest 2, and yes, EverQuest 2 gets its own countdown as well. But first, not only do dragons play a huge role in the history of EverQuest, but they were also the first creatures to populate Norrath.
It is rumored amongst the most intelligent races of Norrath that first came the dragons.
It's time for a little Dragons 101, and if you're looking for some lore about the dragons of EverQuest, you've come to the right place. What follows is a very abridged Cliff's Notes recollection of the dragons of EverQuest.
The great crystalline dragon, ruler over the plane of sky, deposited life onto a lifeless planet, and with one swipe of her mighty claws, laid claim to the promise of a new world.
That crystalline dragon is Vishen, which, for those that didn't know, by the way, it's an anagram of the word heavens. Vishen is the god of the dragons, and those first dragons to be put on Norrath are known as the First Brood. And over time, more dragons are hatched and populate the world of Norrath. Vishen hasn't been seen since, but other gods took note of her acts on Norrath and decided to do the same. That's how we ended up with the elves, the dwarves, Kedge, and all of the other races on Norrath, designed as a form of checks and balances on the dragons and each other. At some point, 2 dragons of opposing elements decided to mate, an act that was forbidden by Vishen, the result of which was a prismatic offspring. While the dragons that mated are unknown, that prismatic dragon was named Kiraferm. The parents of Kiraferm were punished by death, and the orphaned Kiraferm was raised instead by Kildrukan. And very quickly the strength and hunger for power was evident as Kiraferm grew into adolescence. The dragons went about ruling themselves, establishing Vishen's code of laws to rule dragonkind. The most important was, 1, dragons of opposing elements must never mate, and 2, that dragons cannot kill other dragons. While the dragons agreed on these ideas, they were split on whether to interfere or intervene with what they considered the lesser races of Norrath, or whether they should remain out of the affairs of Norrath. Thus the dragons splintered into 2 factions: the Claws of Vishen, who inhabit the ancestral lands of Velius, and the smaller faction of dragons who flew to Kunark to set up the Ring of Scale. The Claws of Vishen were led by Lord Jelinek and ruled over the city of Skyshrine, established a holy temple in the Scars of Velius, which were supposedly the marks Vishen's claw made on the planet. Meanwhile, the Ring of Scale established Vishen's Peak on the continent of Kunark, where it wasn't too long before the lesser races like the Ixar became much more of a concern. Back in the Claws of Vishen, Kiraferm's hunger for power and Kildrukan's belief that the powerful Kiraferm would reunite the Claws of Vishen and the Ring of Scale led to a war within the Claws of Vishen. Lord Jelinek battled Kiraferm, and after a clever ruse by Jelinek, Kiraferm was tricked by Jelinek and 4 powerful Crusader dragons into being put into a deep sleep, since by Vishen's code, dragons could not kill another dragon, even a prismatic one. And thus Kiraferm became known as the Sleeper. The Claws of Vishen are still ruled by Jelinek on Velius, and the Ring of Scale continued their rule in Kunark, though their interaction with the Ixar directly impacts the history of that.
This is so cool. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but are you learning something? Because I'm learning something. I'm excited.
Continent. The Sathir line of emperors, from Venril down to his great-grandson Ganak, have direct impacts on dragonkind, from wars between the two to the creation of new races like the Sarnak, a cross between dragon and Ixar created by Etrib Sathir, and the Sokakar, a cross between a dragon and a froglock. All of these events happen before we even begin our adventures in Norrath, and through our actions and adventures, and 30 expansions of happenings, the world and history of Norrath unfolds before our eyes. Look, that's a very condensed version of what happened, but the lore and history surrounding dragons in EverQuest is why I think they're the most interesting creatures in Norrath. And look,
I just want to say this. this is one of the things that, since we were watching all this content about Pantheon and Monsters and Memories, and now we're back to where it all started, EverQuest. We need the lore. I don't care how pretty your game is. I don't care how you know, even how good the gameplay is at the end of the day. Above all else, make an impactful story that can keep going and going and going. And it seems like such a basic thing. Oh, dragons created the world. Exactly. Something as simple as dragons being the creators of the world and something like that. That sounds like something you'd read out of any fantasy book. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning of this stream and the video. If it ain't broke, why fix it?
Look, we can't have an episode about dragons without my top 10 list countdown. So get your raid memories unlocked, put your own list together, and comment below, because I'm going to count down my list of the top 10 dragons in EverQuest. Anytime I start a countdown, I like to set the ground rules and the basis for how I made my decisions. Of course, after 30 expansions and 2.5 decades, the sheer number of dragons in the game is incredible, filled with stories, war, civil war, raids, and just some of the coolest looking models in the game. Now, for consideration on my list, its impact in the story of Norrath, or the impact on the players in the game, had to be significant. But I also considered a few other things, like the way the dragon looked, or its uniqueness in the game, or just sheer raid difficulty, or how memorable it was in some cases. Now, as you expect, you'll disagree with some of my choices, but when you do, make sure you comment below to let me know exactly what you think should have been added, taken away, or maybe just ranked differently. So, here we go. Number 10, Zanamek Nismurthafen. The number 10 spot on our countdown is not truly a dragon at all. It's a mechanical creation built by the gnome Nitram Anazak that doesn't quite behave as planned. It's also the first dragon you encounter in your planar progression. Now, this was a nice change from the dragons in Velius, and since there were no dragons on Luckland, it was a nice treat to see a huge beast in one of the earlier zones, Plane of Innovation. Number 9, Wuxi. Who hasn't ported into the Awakening Lands only to immediately be attacked by arguably the most infamous Druish dragon?
Hey, you know, it's hilarious because I remember porting so many people because I was part of a dial port on Project 1999, and I used to port people all the time, and I'd always ask the question, hey, are you good? And there were several times when we ported in, and even after checking with them, it was an instant death. So
Wuxi guards the Awakening Lands and conveniently spawns and lingers right at the Druid port-in. Not surprisingly, since the dragon itself is a Druid class, or at least casts Druid spells. Adventurers often use the port to ease the trip to Kael Drakel or Plane of Growth, and if you're on bad terms with the Claws of Vishen, then you'd better look out because you'll have a rather large Druid immediately dotting you and nipping at your heels. Number 8, Faradar. The daughter of Harladar and Jaladar, Faradar has quite the influence in the Ring of Scale faction of dragons. After her father was slain in the battle with Gannic Sathir, Faradar assumed the role of the leader of Ring of Scale and is the final raid target in Vishen's Peak. The other dragons of Vishen's Peak will come to her aid if they are not displaced before you attack Faradar. She makes the number 8 spot on our list for essentially being the final in-game boss of the Kunark era of EverQuest and for her leadership position in the Ring of Scale. Number 7, Vishimtar. In an expansion called The Dragons of Norrath, it's no surprise that the final fight of the expansion was a notorious raid with the dragon Vishimitar. First of all, the dragon model was incredibly good looking for a time when most of the dragons in the game were still using the old Kunark or Velius models. That is, if you could look at the dragon during the fight, it was an incredibly involved raid at the time. 75% in, swirling shadows would spawn, some of which you should avoid killing, and 50% drakes started to spawn that needed to be snared and kited away or otherwise dealt with, and then the final 25% of the fight involved curing a curse, running to an NPC, saying a phrase, and that would unlock 1% of more of the fight at a time.
Alright, I can't speak for other MMOs, but that's really cool, and I want to see that kind of depth in Monsters and Memories. And I'm sure, I mean, these people come from the EverQuest world, so anyways, I digress. That is so cool. Did you hear the list of things you had to do? And especially when it's tied into like the lore, right? Yeah.
All the while, any deaths added to the chaos of the fight. A win was incredibly satisfying, but the fight was terribly maddening. Number 6, Trachanon. He's not only one of the most memorable dragons in Kunark, dwelling in the bowels of old Sebelis, but he's a prominent figure in the storyline of the Ixar. More importantly, the Ixar's dealing with dragons and the fall of the Sebelesian Empire. Being a member of the Ring of Scale, Trachanon believed that the mortals of Norath were something to be influenced, handled, and dealt with. Trachanon was also rumored to be gifted with sight into the future, and his visions led him to believe that the Ixar were a threat to the Ring of Scale on the continent of Kunark. Defying the Ring of Scale, Trachanon decided to attack the Ixar and summoned a squall to destroy the Sebelesian navy, carrying Ryle Sathir, the emperor of the Sebelesian Empire, who was also the son of Venral Sathir. This act led to a war between the dragons on Kunark and the Ixar, and eventually led to the fall of the Ixar Sebelesian Empire. As punishment for Trachanon's defiance, since death was a punishment that defied the second law of Vishen, he was banished to the now ruined depths of Sebelis, which is where we first meet him in EverQuest. And while we're talking about Trachanon, his fight with the Ixar resulted in the death of his most trusted ally, who led the attack against the Ixar city of Vexar. Sitting below the waters of the Lake of Ill Omen lies the entrance to what was once a thriving Ixar city, a sort of Sebelesian resort town built on top of the supposed healing spring waters of Kunark. The designer behind the zone tells us how an unlikely 80s movie with a similar destroyed city theme inspired its development.
Yeah, so I can't watch all this without wanting to go play EverQuest for like 300 hours nonstop.
I'm Alan Bond, senior artist. I build just about everything except the characters. So I do the environments, objects, armor, housing items. I like all the zones that I build. They're all equally good to me, but recently I've heard a lot of people really liked the first zone I worked on, which was Vexar.
So I'm gonna call myself out really quick, and a lot of people might just flat out never come back to this channel again. But hear me out. Out of the 25 years that I've been playing EverQuest, I have never done a dragon raid. I've never slayed a dragon in EverQuest. Legitimately never. Which some might say, well, that's dumb. And others might say, oh, you don't know what you're missing out. And yes, cheers to you, buddy, if you feel that way, because the world is my oyster. I have plenty of dragons to slay, from Kunark to Velius, and even from the original Norath. So Nagafin, that's the red dragon. And I've been playing EverQuest since I was 13 years old, and I've never raided a dragon in EverQuest. I don't know how that's possible, but it's a fact. But what's exciting is that I'm documenting my EverQuest experience now on this channel, so you're gonna get to see my reaction for slaying my first dragon when I get to that point. And I actually have a level 57 druid on Project 1999 right now, so I might start playing him again so I can go raid some dragons. So, and actually, let me correct myself. I've never slayed a dragon, like a boss dragon. Like, obviously I've slayed the dragons that are in the game, just not a boss, like not even Nagafin or Trachanon or anything like that.
Base that off of the Escape from New York movie. Yeah, that one goes in and out the buildings because they do the same thing in the movie. They're on the street, they're inside the buildings, back out on the street, inside the buildings. So there's a theater in there, same as in the movie.
The theater that Alan mentions is now home to the spirit of Trakanon's former general, the slain dragon Garudon. He attacked the city, and as it was knocked from its pillars, he was caught in the snare trap set by the Ixar. In his last breath, trapped in the dome and brought down by the Ixar soldiers, he crashed through the ceiling of the theater. The city is now destroyed, but as it collapsed, the healing waters flooded the valley and diluted the healing properties. Garudon can still be found roaming Vexar as an undead dragon, not just in EverQuest, but also in EverQuest 2.
And speaking of EverQuest 2, and before we get to the second half of our top 10 list of EverQuest dragons, a few weeks ago I asked if there was anyone out there in the community interested in assisting the EverQuest show. After all, it takes a lot of work to put these episodes together. I'm always interested in getting more players involved. So if you're interested in helping out, just go to everquestshow.com and click on the Help Wanted story. Here's an example of what you could be doing for the EverQuest show as our friend Yvette counts down their top 5 favorite dragons of EverQuest 2.
Hi, I'm Yvette of the Antonio Bale server. Join me as I count down my top 5 favourite dragons of EverQuest 2.
So I'm mainly an EverQuest 1 player and I don't play on live, but I still want to finish this video just for the sake of checking out these cool dragons. And it always gives me inspiration on what I might be able to see in the future in games like Monsters and Memories, for example.
Kicking off our top 5, Viscudra.
Basically theory crafting, you know, but we're wrapping this up.
Found in the Withered Lands. As an NPC dragon, she is impossible to kill, spending her time flying around the Withered Lands, cursing any adventurer or crafter who dare to fly in her presence. Get caught in her brain, and you'll find yourself plummeting back down to the ground. And, well, depending on how far up you were, the way down is just as far. Viscudra is more, well, annoying than anything else, but her death count is certainly rising. Number 4 on my list
tight.
is the sweet little Zygos in
Looks like a
Vision
cat.
Peak. While not a tricky dragon to do battle with, the fact that Zygos falls asleep mid-raid and dreams of his fellow dragons taunting him, I feel it speaks to that little voice inside of us all. Who of us hasn't fallen asleep and dreamt that their entire raid force was calling for them to get online and zone in? Number 3, Venica. The number 3 spot on my list goes to everyone's favourite emo dragon, Venica. The first of our reoccurring villainous dragons in Norath.
Have you come to worship me?
It was back in May 2005 when Venica captured the entire Froglock race, and adventurers were tasked with their rescue. And upon his defeat, Venica retreated to the Halls of Seeing to await those same adventurers in the Kingdom of Sky expansion.
Do you seek my favor by offering up your lives?
Yeah, I gotta say, some of the scenes from EverQuest 2 look sick. If only they didn't deviate so much from what original EverQuest was. I played EverQuest 2 when it first came out, and it's something about it just didn't feel the same, but I digress. I'm not gonna go into that tangent right now, but all I'm gonna say is aesthetically, there's a lot of things about EverQuest 2 that I still think to this day are just phenomenal. And I think part of it is because it's the lore of EverQuest in a different kind of graphics setting.
Number 2, Lord Nagathon. Probably one of the first dragons you think about when asked to name a dragon in the world of EverQuest. Injured in a battle against an army of Dakota, Lord Nagathon is currently trapped below the land of Lavastorm at the very bottom of Soyasek Eye. His tattered wings are almost useless and make it impossible for him to reach the surface. Instead, he dwells within his lair, where players will need to learn Draconic in order to speak with him. And adventurers will want to speak to him if they wish to attain their prismatic weapons or gain access into Death Toll.
Before I get into my number one spot, just want to say an honourable mention to Lady Vox, who is also a dragon that's close to my heart. Her story is one of tragedy, and without her, I don't think this whole thing would have worked.
My number one dragon of EverQuest 2 is the legendary Dorothar. And, well, spoiler alert for a 20-year-old storyline, Dorothar is in disguise for most of the time that you meet him.
I am Captain Drake Varlos.
He talks directly to you as Captain Varlos and also as the Sage of Ages. He ensures that the adventurers who washed up on his ship are nudged on their way to discover where the prismatic egg created by Lord Nagafen and Lady Vox is hidden. The questline, which rewards the prismatic weapon, is one of my favourite questlines in this game. And
That's alright, that's sick. That's a sick questline. And by the way, I remember when I first saw the cover of EverQuest 2. I don't remember if it was the cover or the manual or something, but it had this dragon on there. And as a kid, I was illustrating it, and I had like pictures of me sitting there, like, you know, drawing this dragon out and all the details and like wrinkles and scales. And I mean, this is an epic looking dragon. This is like the dragon of your D&D dreams when it comes to like all the horns and details.
this is why Dorothar is my number one dragon in Norath.
Yeah, he's 10. And that storyline that she just mentioned, I had no idea, but that's awesome.
I've been Yvette for the EverQuest show, and that's my top 5 dragons of EverQuest 2. And now over to you. Who are your top 5? Who would you include? Let me know in the comments, and also let me know on social media. Thank you, bye bye.
I really love the EverQuest 2 dragons, especially those updated models, but here are a few other dragons that got the update treatment from EverQuest 1 to EverQuest 2.
Oh, okay, this is really cool. So this is showing what the dragons were in classic EverQuest and how they kind of change or transform with the graphical art style change over the years. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty gnarly. I remember this guy. The first time I saw him, I was camping the otter people, and I saw this thing come out of the water and like a whole bunch of people attack it, and I was like, what the heck is that? Because it was my first time seeing it. I gotta love Wuxi.
EverQuest has certainly come a long way in the last 25 years, but we are only halfway through our countdown. So let's get to the top 5 spots in our countdown of the dragons of EverQuest.
Number 5, Lady Vox. Deep within the icy caverns of Permafrost Keep, early adventurers of EverQuest met their first dragon. Lady Vox was one of the 2 original dragons in the game, and while there is significance in being one of the first, her impact in the history of Norath is rather minuscule. Her and her mate Nagafin were both banished for violating or attempting to violate Vishen's first law that dragons of opposing elements shall not mate, lest Norath see the arrival of another prismatic dragon like Kirifirm the Sleeper. Formerly of the Ring of Scale, Lady Vox now remains imprisoned in Permafrost Keep. Number 4, Lord Jelinek. Jelinek is one of the original dragons to be deposited on Norath by Vishen, the so-called First Brood, and it is his involvement in the history and lore of Norath and dragons that earns him the number 4 spot on the list. After the birth of Kirifirm, the prismatic dragon, and the subsequent war of the dragons that ensued, Jelinek became the leader of the claws of Vishen, the dragons that would inhabit Velius. It was Jelinek who saw the danger in the unchecked power of Kirifirm. After a battle with Kirifirm in the Velius skies, he was left wounded and assumed dead. His alleged death was only a ruse, though, so that he could hatch the plan to put Kirifirm to sleep, since killing another dragon would violate Vishen's second law. In addition, the war with the giants of Velius also took a toll on Jelinek, as Hasagra, Jelinek's mate, is killed in the Kale arena. Jelinek now resides in the dragon city of Skyshrine, leading the claws of Vishen in their many unwanted turmoils throughout Norath. Number 3, Quorm. What's not to love about a 4
Project Quorum. That's crazy. I didn't know that there was a dragon named Quorum, and now I'm thinking about EverQuest Project Quorum. I wonder if that's where the developer secrets came up with the name Project Quorum.
headed elemental dragon with each head symbolizing a different element. The final raid target in the Plane of Time is the culmination of defeating the elemental planes and the gods. Quorm was the guardian of the prison of Zabuxaruk, and he's a dragon supposedly created by the 4 elemental gods themselves. However he got there, he's one of the biggest NPC models in EverQuest, and a memorable raid when your guild is working through the Plane of Time. Number 2, Kirifirm. The Sleeper, the Awakened, the Prismatic Dragon, the prophetic savior of dragonkind. Kirifirm has gone by many names. The product of 2 dragons of opposing elements, it is not known who the parents of Kirifirm are. In dragon history, Kirifirm is arguably the most important in the entire timeline of dragons on Norath, leading to the War of the Dragons, and the creation of the laws of Vishen, that dragons of opposing elements shall not mate, and that dragons shall not kill other dragons. But most importantly, outside of Norath, the Sleeper is most known for being the unkillable dragon that players eventually, well, killed. A feat that was not intended by the developers. When not killed, Kirifirm is awakened by the players and is able to wreak havoc upon.
This is another thing that's amazing about EverQuest. That they broke the game. Like, you know, they throw that term around. It's like, oh, we broke the game. Or you broke the internet, you broke the game. They literally broke the game. We, the old players. Now, I was never a part of this, but I was a part of when it happened. The fact that this happened, and it wasn't intended by the developers, and it happened anyways. I mean, you gotta check out the story behind this. Just YouTube it. But this is what made EverQuest different. It wasn't just like a locked-in linear experience. It was literally create your own adventure. even defeat an undefeatable boss that the developers made so you couldn't defeat.
On the dragons of Norath again for their acts against him. But before we get to the number 1 spot, here are a few honorable mentions that didn't make the top 10. Number 1, Lord Nagafin. He is the quintessential fire-breathing dragon. What high fantasy game would be complete without a big bad fire-breathing dragon? That dragon is Lord Nagafin. His story of love for Lady Vox and their plans to mate led him to his imprisonment in Solisec's Eye. He has become an iconic symbol of EverQuest and has appeared in games throughout the franchise and beyond. We know him in EQ and EverQuest 2 in his updated form, but in EverQuest Online Adventures we saw Nagafin of the past. He spoke to us in Lords of EverQuest.
And threatens to betray my offspring to them.
And we expected to see him in EQ next, with artwork revealing his new style. And he also appeared in another cancelled game, Dragon's Prophet. He is the original true fire dragon of EverQuest, leading him to the number 1 spot on our countdown of dragons.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. That was my favorite one.
Okay, so there they are, the top dragons in both EverQuest and EverQuest 2. So what do you think? You disagree, right? You think this dragon should have been here and that dragon should have been there. Well, that's okay. That's why YouTube made a comments section. So go ahead, comment below with your list of the top dragons in EverQuest, EverQuest 2, or you can do both if you want. And let me know what you think. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. Share this video if you could. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you like the video. Ring the bell as well so you'll get updates for when the next episodes and updates are posted. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in Norath, along with a dragon or two.
We gotta be the best we can be.
All right, so I'm done with that. Yeah, that was quite an experience. Didn't think I would get this far so late at night, but it is officially over. I appreciate you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed going over some of the breaking news on Monsters and Memories and even Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I definitely hope to see you guys on the upcoming tests that are bound to happen soon for Monsters and Memories. And also look forward to Pantheon Rise of the Fallen opening the floodgates to let alpha and even beta testers in. But without further ado, we're going to end this. I'm going to have in the comments, or in the description, I'm going to have timestamps of everything just to help you navigate this video if you're watching it later. If you want to share it with your friends, just help them skip to the parts that are relevant to them so that they don't waste their time on a 2.5 hour video. So I do appreciate you guys, and on that note, it's time for me to log off. So I'll see you guys later. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave you guys with a parting gift. One last gift, since you guys have been so patient with me. Here we go.